When we talk about Hollywood actors who really made waves in their active years, Dustin Hoffman would certainly make that list, as his stellar performances over the years have solidified his place as a fan favorite. His impact in Hollywood spreads beyond his generation, and he has been a huge inspiration to so many young actors. However, his life and rise to fame were filled with so many ups and downs, which he weathered to get to his fame. But along the line in 2017, a major tsunami struck Hoffman's career and personal life, which has been marked as one of his greatest regrets in life. Want to find out all about this unfortunate event? Stay with us as we unravel the biggest regret of Dustin Hoffman's career. Dustin Lee Hoffman was born on August 8, 1937 in Los Angeles, California, into a modest Jewish family. His father, Harry Hoffman, was a furniture salesman and a prop supervisor at Columbia Pictures, while his mother, Lillian, was formerly a jazz pianist. Hoffman came from the Russian Jewish side of his father and Romanian Jewish from his mother. But again, the family was closer to their heritage only as a culture and not as a religion. The Hoffmans grew up during a period when anti-Semitism was high, and as a consequence, the family tried to fit as best as possible into mainstream American society by completely anglicizing the family name from Hoffmanowitz to the more Anglo-sounding Hoffman. Dustin had an unstable childhood and a growing struggle for identity. He was a very introverted and passive child and remained in the shadow of his elder brother, Ronald, who was an intellectual and charismatic type. More often than not, Hoffman felt he was very short of his brother and lacked self-trust. His parents were very concerned and protective, maybe to a fault, in that it became overbearing, to the point that he felt he was being parented and not actually understood. Through this whole process, Hoffman developed a peculiar interest in the arts while he was in his early years, and this was the foundation that would build his future. Hoffman's early education did not take him to any absolutely exceptional place. He never accomplished anything big in school, as he was not very interested in academics. He attended Los Angeles High School and later on was placed as an average student, rather interested in sports than studies. Yet growing up, he had this love for music, inherited from his mother, so he took on piano lessons. He first thought to become a classical pianist, but his lack of discipline and practice prevented him from doing it seriously. Although fraught with challenges, the piano lessons would eventually teach the young man rhythm and timing in acting. Coming out of high school, Hoffman was accepted at Santa Monica College, where he had some nondescript ambition to pursue medicine, yet another of the careers his parents would have him choose. This, to no one's surprise, was not the road he would take. Having difficulty in his academic life and nearly failing some of his classes, he eventually dropped out after 1 year. It was at this time of uncertainty that Hoffman almost literally fell into the world of acting. He started to labor diligently and kept his studies in the lauded Pasadena Playhouse in California, which gained the reputation of having produced legendary actors. At the Playhouse, Hoffman was finally given an acting environment where he burned creatively, admitting his emotions to come all the way out. He did not feel out of place at last, and he was uncertain of his ways. The stage became the platform through which his weaknesses flowed to become his strengths. He felt comfortable even with his colleagues because most of them were just as serious about what they did best. However, his stay at the Pasadena Playhouse was not peaceful, but it came bundled up with struggles. Hoffman was on several occasions reprimanded because of his funny looks and behavior. He was not designed to be a leading man in that town that called for a person exuding charm and charisma, height and handsomeness. Hoffman was short, slight of frame, and introverted, but these same descriptions were what was hammered into his head time and time again, that he was not fit to be a leading man. His best shot lay in character roles. If the criticisms were any triggers, they served to put a greater sense of resolve in the mind of Hoffman to prove them all wrong. Apart from those rare moments of glory and excitement on stage in his school days, Hoffman, in the real practical world of acting, struggled to make his dreams come true. Having left the Pasadena Playhouse, he moved to New York City in 1958, ambitious to break onto the lively scene of the city's theaters. The decision was sharp. While New York was the center of the American theater, it was also very aggressive. Hoffman came to a city overflowing with similar hopefuls, all struggling for the same slender opportunities. He just menially decimated every odd job that came his way, be it that of a janitor, cashier, or coat checker at any number of eateries. He used to stay in a very minute, sleazy apartment in the Hell's Kitchen area, and always used to be the one who had to worry about making both ends meet. All the while, he kept on doing advanced acting classes and giving auditions wherever he could. But for most of the major roles, in most of the cases, he was just told off by the casting directors by the logic that he would not look good as a leading man for most of them. All that persistence finally began to pay off in the early 1960s when he started landing minor roles in off-Broadway plays. These roles were not very glamorous, but they certainly gave him experience and exposure. One of his first small breaks came in 1961 with A Cook for Mr. General by Frank Gilroy. The play was not much of a financial success, but Hoffman had scored his first fairly demanding role. It was in 1964 that Hoffman landed a part in an off-Broadway play by Henry Livings. He portrayed a quirky yet troubled youth and garnered good reviews, gaining a Theatre World Award for Best Debut Performance, marking Hoffman's first major breakthrough in acting. He still couldn't manage to find regular work, though, but the huge appeal of used to motivate him to fight as hard as he could. Hoffman's first leap came quite unexpectedly in the field of movies. He made his screen debut in 1967 in Mike Nichols' The Graduate. This was, of course, the role of Benjamin Braddock, the disillusioned graduate from college who gets into an affair with a woman over twice his age. It was not the conventional handsome leading man role, and in fact, Dustin Hoffman was not the first choice for that role. It was actually first offered to Robert Redford, among others. But Nichols felt something very special about Hoffman, something so raw and real about his vulnerability that he was just ideal for the part. The Graduate boomed into both commercial and critical business, bagging all the box office records, and the character Benjamin Braddock sort of gave voice to the generation of confused souls who stood at the crossroads of life, scrabbling desperately with their desires, wishes, and societal expectations. The movie hit the cultural moment, and Hoffman overnight was a superstar sensation. His work also brought him his initial Academy Award nomination as Best Actor, and confirmed him as an actor of huge promise for his generation. After The Graduate, Hoffman was labeled the most promising and most desirable actor in Hollywood. He wasted no time building up on his newfound success with a string of hit films, each of which appeared to show unbelievable range and versatility for the young Hoffman. His first critically acclaimed film arrived the following year. Portraying that revolting character of stupidity and vileness, he played the role of the agonized and outcast confidence artist Ratso Rizzo in Midnight Cowboy by John Schlesinger, 1969. The movie had something so gritty, so intolerable to the gaze of metropolitan existence that it denounced the Hollywood image. Hoffman followed his performance with great success, yet another Academy Award nomination to add to his growing stature as a serious actor in the film. Hoffman had always remained challenging and diverse during the 1970s. His work included films like Lenny in 1974, in which he portrayed the controversial comedian Lenny Bruce, and All the President's Men in 1976, where he played the role of a muckraking journalist responsible for breaking open the Watergate scandal, Carl Bernstein. In both films, Hoffman solidified his reputation as one of the great actors of his generation, a performer whose range and sensitivity won him as much admiration for his technique as for his ability to achieve total character immersion. Just as his career had swirled on ahead, the roles had likewise epitomized each other. Soon came the 1979 Kramer vs. Kramer, showing the emotional and the legal processes of divorce and parenthood. Here, Hoffman played Ted Kramer, a parent battling hard for the custody of his son. This won him an award as Best Actor from the Academy. For what he's worth, the movie was a real commercial and critical success, and this movie established the worth of Hoffman as an actor, that he could take any role, be it either dramatic or emotional. It was in the 1980s that Hoffman began to do more comedy roles that showcased his range as an actor. One of his most iconic performances came in 1982, in the movie Tootsie, in which he played a struggling actor who disguised himself as a woman in order to nail a part in a soap opera. The film proved highly successful and won Hoffman another Academy Award nomination. This range he was able to strike between comedy and deeper social commentary made Tootsie one of the most loved films of that decade. For Dustin Hoffman, it has therefore been a career-long journey of commitment to what he does, constantly going out of his way to scout for newer roles and genres. It is perhaps courage and commitment to his art that have really clinched his position as one of the most highly respected and influential actors of the company generation. The legacy of Dustin Hoffman can be captured within the parameters of human persistence, resilience, and refusal to accept stereotypes. Through his dedication to the art of acting, through the wealth he maintained for this talent to animate complicated, multidimensional characterizations, he impacted a generation of actors. Nearly a man in his 70s, having never stopped toiling in the industry as an actor and a director, Hoffman remains larger than life in Hollywood. A man revered among peers and cherished by audiences around the globe. The change that takes Dustin Hoffman from a quiet, insecure child to one of the greatest Hollywood actors justifies the discussion about his miraculous talent, hard work, and dedication to his art. Hoffman would always hang on to the hope of becoming an actor, despite the many indications that he could not make it. They say that his early struggles only made him more determined, and that his wayward productivity meant that the roads to stardom in the film were paved with quite unconventional steps. He has set an indelible mark through the many characters he played, and the legacy of Hoffman will raise future generations of actors and filmmakers. Despite his successful career, Hoffman's reputation took a huge hit in 2017, which today might just be one of his greatest regrets. This all unraveled in the midst of the #Me Too movement, then rocking the entertainment industry and later spreading into most of the other industries, with him standing accused of sexual misconduct stretching back several decades. Most of the fans and peers of Mr. Hoffman found that these allegations shook everyone and converted their image of a respectable and reverential figure in the industry into something else. The scandal first came to light in November when Anna Graham Hunter, a former production assistant, accused Harvey of inappropriate and degrading behavior. She says it happened in 1985 when she was 17, working as an intern on the set of the TV movie Death of a Salesman, which Hoffman was starring in as Willie Loman. She says Hoffman made both sexually lewd comments to her and touched her in lewd ways, generally behaving toward her in a way that was clearly meant to make her feel debased. She gave several examples of Hoffman openly hitting on her, inquiring about her sex life, and making lewd jokes about her. A few days later, other women followed the first's lead in coming forward to accuse Hoffman of sexually inappropriate behavior. These ranged from 1970s era offending to the most recent in the last few years. Among these women was playwright Corey Thomas, who Hoffman had exposed himself to in a hotel room when she was 16 years old. Another woman accusing Hoffman was Catherine Rossiter, who worked with the actor in the Broadway show of the 1980s. She claims that in the course of being on the run of the show, Hoffman molested her several times. These charges piled up to portray a picture of a pattern of conduct that was appallingly wrong, and in fact, highly dismissible. Such serious allegations met with a response from Hoffman of first trying to deny the charges and reduce their severity through his own means. Immediately after Anna Graham Hunter went to the press with allegations, Hoffman issued a public apology in which he claimed he did it, but did not remember the events as described. He said, "I have tremendous respect for women and feel terrible that anything I might have done could have put her in an uncomfortable situation. I am sorry, it is not reflective of who I am." But many felt the response was wanting of meaning and obtuse in the face of serious allegations. As more and more women came forward with their ghastly stories over a period of years, the case began falling apart for Hoffman. He could not credibly claim these to be isolated incidents or just misunderstandings when allegations were from varied periods of his life. Also, the timing of the scandal was really bad, as it happened just when the #Me Too movement had taken a heavy toll on public sentiments, increasingly directed even at supporting victims of heinous attacks. So Hoffman's belittlement of the situation didn't go down well. Hoffman fared really badly in the court of public opinion because it was a scandal involving a figure who had been venerated for so long by people who liked film and theater. These charges have mostly considered Hoffman to be the best and most talented actor of his generation before, through sheer efforts at his work. It has been said that Hoffman exerts quite a laborious preparation for his roles, and was able to portray various and complex movie roles. However, sexual misconduct allegations are ones that really destroyed what little was left of the good name of Hoffman. Of course, in this case, his old work has also been analyzed to some extent. Some critics and commentators have even asked the question of whether Hoffman's on-screen intensity and method of acting may have crossed some boundary between performance and real-life conduct. More broadly, the scandal speaks to the culture of Hollywood, where influential men get off scot-free for their misbehavior, and in which harmful behavior has been condoned for a very long time. Of course, these charges threw quite a dent in Hoffman's career. The accusations, although he wasn't doing as many film and television projects in the years leading up to this scandal, basically disallowed any other possible future projects. Public appearances became less and less frequent, and more often than not, he could not be found, repeatedly retreating from the limelight, probably most aware of what those allegations had done to his reputation. More importantly, the scandal bombarded Dustin Hoffman's personal life, part of which was the family. The second part is his marriage to Lisa Hoffman, which has been ongoing since 1980, and the couple has produced 4 children. Without any doubt, public accusation and rigorous media coverage have overstrained his family life. Although Lisa Hoffman responded to no official statement about the allegations, her reaction to the revelations can and should be one of the biggest distresses to her and their children. It is improbable that those 2017 happenings are going to be anything less than one of life's regrets, even given Hoffman's silence at length in public since the scandal broke. His public reputation never gets restored. The loss of it caused damage to his built-up career. And definitely, this has had a causative ripple effect within his family. From a broad perspective, it emphasizes accountability and goes on to prove that old wrongs must always be atoned for, even by people of great success and inspiration. This irony was a little too loud for Hoffman, who had spent his entire life playing imperfect but essentially decent human beings. The supposed actions of this made him realize something of his own flaws, in a way that no script or character had ever remotely prepared him for. Whether he finally could come to terms with those flaws and make up for them in private life, only he and those who know him can tell. One thing we know is that this 2017 scandal was a sad turning point in Dustin Hoffman's life and career. There you have it, folks. Let us know your thoughts about this scandal in the comments, and we will see you in the next one.